Hey guys, Tom Sylvester here from Serial Startups, and I just want to take a couple minutes to introduce you guys to Startup Academy and walk you through a little bit of why we created it, what it is, and see if it's right to help you hit your goals, grow your business in 2017. So, why do we create Startup Academy? So, if you guys know anything about our story, we started multiple businesses, some were the successful and that we still have, and several that didn't work out. And when I started that first business, I really struggled. I went all over the place trying to find information, and there's a lot of information online, there's a lot of information in books, but what's challenging is there's not really a way to pull it all together and kind of give you everything you need to start a business. And as a result, I've spent money on very expensive trainings that, weren't worth the price or weren't what I thought they would be. I've missed steps in starting businesses, some of which have cost us thousands of dollars just from little things that I didn't realize we needed to do. And then, another thing is every time we would start another business, it was like we had to go back to square one. So even though we've created a business before, there were a lot of steps along the way, and we missed out on, some of those steps as we built subsequent businesses. So I didn't really find a program or anything out there that kind of had what I needed and kind of guided me through step by step. So we had a lot of people, as we were starting to build these businesses, come to us and basically ask us, how did you build the business? What are the steps you take? And so we created our blog. We started putting some free content out there. And then that ended up turning into coaching for a handful of people. So we've done quite a bit of coaching for different entrepreneurs, but one of the things we realized was that, we wanted to make an impact on a lot more entrepreneurs. And although we were having success with our coaching clients, what we realized was that, coaching isn't right for everyone. Everyone's not at the point where they have the money to invest in coaching. And we really couldn't hit the number of people and help the number of people that we wanted to just by doing one-on-one coaching. So what we started doing was, really figuring out, well, what can we put together that would help more entrepreneurs and allow us to really leverage our time to help all of you guys in your business. And after a lot of research, talking to entrepreneurs and kind of looking at like what we had done to build our businesses, we came up with Startup Academy. So who is it for? So it's for you if you hit one of these two things. So you either have an idea and you want to start a business, or even if you don't have an idea, we'll help you with that too. Or you have a business, but it's not as successful as you'd like, and you'd like to grow it, make it more profitable, or even, automate it and systematize it so you're not spending as much time working in your business. So as we went to put this together, we did a lot of research, and obviously we had experiences from running our businesses, but we also talked to, hundreds of entrepreneurs, whether it was at conferences, whether it was business owners that exist today locally, or whether it was people online. We had a lot of Skype calls, and from talking to entrepreneurs, we came up with essentially these three challenges that it seemed like everyone had in some capacity. So the first one is you don't know what the next step that you need to take. So this is a challenge for a lot of people. There's a lot of steps involved in starting a business. And when you go to start that business, what should you do first? Should you go get business cards? Do you do a website? Do you got to do a business plan? There's a lot of steps, and they didn't know which way to organize those steps in the right sequence in order to build that business. A second challenge that entrepreneurs have is they don't have the right training or education to take that next step. So you may know, for example, that you need a business plan, but you're not really sure how to put that plan together. If you go and search online, there's different templates and different people are telling you different things, and it can be a challenge to have the right information at the right time to take that next step. And the third challenge is not having the right support and accountability. So, as an entrepreneur, unless you're surrounded by entrepreneurs, it's a lonely space. If you tell your friends and family that you're going to start a business and they're all working a job, they're not going to support you. They're not going to understand where you're coming from. And even if they do, they're not there to really give you advice or hold you accountable to grow the business because they haven't done it before. So as we, talk to all these entrepreneurs, it really boiled down to these three challenges. And this is what we were looking to solve as we launched Startup Academy. So we did an early launch this year, got some information in, had a handful of members join at the beginning, and then really spent time having them go through it and giving us feedback. So here's what we came up with to address these 3 common problems. So number 1, not knowing the next step. So we put together what we're calling the big picture roadmap, and essentially this is our guide, and this is the process that we've used to build our businesses. So you'll see along the left-hand side, we've got growth in revenue. We want to grow the business. Along the bottom is what we use as our foundation, and we call this the 4 tenets of implementing. And this is basically making sure that anytime you're doing something in your business, you have the right people involved, you have your strategy, your objectives defined, you're putting a process in place to help you get there, and then you're using the right tools and automation, to make it efficient and get some of your time back. But so as we put this roadmap together, there's 5 phases, and each phase has steps to guide you through it. So phase 0 we call prequel. And this is actually everything that you should be doing before you even start a business. And a lot of people skip over this step because they get an idea for a business and they just jump in. But there's a lot of things that you should be doing personally before you start the business. Part of it is goal planning. Part of it is understanding, what you want out of your life. You got to look at where you're at today. How much time and money do you have to invest in a business? You got to look at your personality type. Are you set up to succeed in a business? Where are your strengths and maybe some of your weaknesses? And how is that going to impact growing a business and, building a team to help you with that? And making sure that you have support and accountability, because it is a tough journey as an entrepreneur. So phase 0 is really getting all those things set up before you start the business. And then we go into phase 1, and this is the foundation. So this is where we really start talking about the business. We brainstorm your ideas, help you go through and validate those, figure out, which business model makes sense for what you're trying to do, and go through all the steps of actually setting up your business, securing any money if you need funding to start, because just about every business needs funding, even, a small startup online, and then ultimately getting your business launched, whatever that means, whether that's, opening the doors of a retail store, or whether that's launching your product or service online. And then we get into phase 2, which is your operating phase. And this is, where we want to get people and where people hang out for a long time. And during this phase, you're going to focus on, getting to that break-even point, and then you want to just continue increasing the profitability of your business. And, this is a cyclical process, which is why this phase is a circle. It's not sequential like the last ones. And there's 5 key things that you're going to focus on. So you're going to do strategy and planning to understand, what you want to achieve, and then a plan to get there. And then you're going to focus on getting there by offering products and services. You've got to do sales and marketing to actually get out in front of your customers and, have revenue coming in. You got to manage your accounting and financials, because there's so many entrepreneurs that don't understand these key pieces, and they end up not making money or not making as much money as they could because they don't understand how to manage the numbers. And then ultimately, you've got a team, and you've got people that either you're hiring in or that are available to support you as you implement your business. So this is where, most business owners are once they've launched. And this is just the process of ongoing, like, how do you run your business? What's that operating model? And then phase 3, this is where we all want to get to. This is where you have a successful business. And one of the things that we see with entrepreneurs is they may build a successful business, but they don't know what's next. They don't know what that end game is. So this is where it's helping you kind of figure out what is the next step. Do you sell your business? Do you kind of automate it and hire people in and take a step back so that you have more time, but you're still generating profit from that business? Or do you scale it? Do you want to take it beyond just a small startup and really grow it into like a medium or a large business? So in this phase, you're figuring out what you do when you have success. And then there'll be a handful of people that decide they want to scale, and they're going to start, kind of adjusting their company so that they have the money and the right structure and the right people to actually grow beyond a startup. So this is the roadmap. We've got training and worksheets and steps, or, worksheets for each of the steps to guide you through that. So this is really that path that anyone can take, and you can jump in regardless of where you're at in your business, and then go from that phase and that step that you're on and move forward. So the second challenge was not having the right training. And one of the things that we wanted to do with this is really create targeted training courses on, the challenges that our members and that other entrepreneurs are having. So we've got a handful of training in there. Like, for example, we've got, how do you do business planning? idea validation. How do you validate your business idea or your product idea before you spend a lot of time and money on it? How do you do goal planning? Setting up a process for being productive so that you make sure you're getting the most out of your time. How do you set up your website? How do you go through and understand your business financials? How do you plan and execute everything that you want to do within your business? And then, we got this growing reference library of just one-off articles and video trainings on specific topics that, come up that often aren't discussed in other training courses or online. So this is the start of our training courses, and we have a whole bunch lined up for 2017, around various aspects of sales and marketing, going deeper into really using your financials to help drive your business and make decisions, and a whole plethora of other topics based on what our members have requested and what questions we just see coming up in the entrepreneurial space. Next one is not having the right support and accountability. And this is a big one. So as an entrepreneur, whether you're doing it, yourself and you're that solopreneur, or whether you're working with some partners or a team, it's key to have the right support and accountability so that not only are you, getting through some of those tough times and have someone to bounce your ideas off of, but when you set a plan out there, you actually have someone to hold you accountable. Because one of the challenges if you're switching from working for somebody to starting your own business is you get to this point where you now have to manage your own time and you have to now hold yourself accountable. And even if you're doing that, it's so much nicer to have an outside perspective or a group of people that can hold you accountable and give you insights or make you think a little bit differently. So we got two things set up for this. The first one is we do a monthly coaching call with our members. So this is the first Wednesday of every month. We get on and we have 2 hot seats. So any member can sign up for a hot seat, and we go deep into whatever specific question or challenge you're having to help you move to the next step in your business. And then we do an open Q&A, and at this point, we sit on the call as long as you guys need to get through all the questions you need to move your business forward. And now, because those coaching calls are monthly, what we also have is our private member community. So this is basically a forum where you can come in, you can post questions, you can ask for feedback. Basically, you have direct access to us and everyone else in the community. So in between those coaching calls, if you've got questions, if you've got things you need, we actually have accountability logs so that people can put their goals in there, and we and other members can come in and comment and give you advice on it. And then we have people come back in and keep those accountability logs updated to make sure that you're progressing in your business, as well as you can look back and see how far you've come, which is so huge. So these are the 2 mechanisms that we have for making sure that you guys have the right support and guidance beyond just, the roadmap and the training. All right, so with all that, we have 2 pricing options for you guys if this sounds like something that would help your business. So the first one is you can pay monthly. So right now it's $39 a month. We actually have it set up so that if you sign up, there's a 3-month commitment, because we don't want people just joining and leaving. If you're going to join, we want you committed, and we want to make sure that you have at least 3 months where you can go through the training, we can work with you, and we can really get you set up for success. So you can see all the stuff you get there for the monthly. And then the other option we have is annual. So you can see for the annual, $468 for the year. And as part of this annual, we're actually going to give you guys a free 30-minute coaching call directly with Ariana and I. So if this sounds like something that will help your business out, we'd love to have you. We'd love to help your business for next year. And, one of the final things is we're getting close to the end of 2016. And, there's been some questions about reducing taxes lately. And one of the ways that you can reduce your taxes is by prepaying expenses this year for next year. So if you're looking to, reduce your tax expense and you're looking for training and support and growing your business next year, if you sign up for the annual membership, you'll actually pay that expense this year, and then you'll be able to reduce your taxes this year. So that's a great strategy. Just a little bit of tip if you are looking to reduce your taxes and invest in yourself and grow your business next year. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, you can head over to serialstartups.co/join and join us. We'd love to have you in there. And if you have any questions, post them below, and we'll do our best to answer them. So that is it. Just want to give you guys a quick overview of Startup Academy, a little bit deeper dive into what it is. And, if this is right for you, we'd love to have you. If not, you're going to make 2017 a great year anyways. So go out and make it happen.